Hello, and welcome back to Everything Happens for a Reason. So, I'm really festive today. If you're not watching on camera, I have Christmas ears on. I think they're reindeer ears. I'm not entirely sure, but this episode is launching on Merry Christmas, on Christmas Eve. So, firstly, I want to start off by wishing everybody a lovely Christmas, whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're spending it with your family, whether you're spending it on your own, whether you don't celebrate Christmas. Enjoy that time, essentially, whatever it is that you are doing. And yeah, obviously going into Christmas, it can be a weird time of year. I feel like some people absolutely love it and be buzzing for it, and other people almost dread this time of year. So I thought I would give you an episode for today anyway, to keep you entertained. And yeah, of course, you can always watch it back later as well. But today I wanted to speak about the 5 main lessons that I learned in 2025. And the reason being behind that is because obviously we're coming up to the end of the year, and I'm such a big believer that time is just a concept, and see, this new year, new me, all of that, I don't really believe in it. But I always sort of set intentions, for the next year or for the current year, and I always aim to obviously work towards that. And 2025 has been a little bit of a weird year, and I don't actually know why. I don't know why. It hasn't necessarily been an amazing year, but it hasn't necessarily been a bad year either, but there's definitely a couple of lessons that I have took away that have really stuck with me. So I wanted to speak about that today. And of course, I hope that you girls can relate to this and that it is actually helpful for you as well. So the first thing that I have really took away from this year is, if you want to find out who your real friends are, move country or start a business. That's literally going to tell you everything that you need to know. Obviously, I understand that friendships and everything sort of fades away naturally as we grow older. And distance does obviously make things a little bit more complex, or a little bit harder to sort of keep those relationships intact, because you have to work harder to keep them intact, right? But I feel like obviously last year, December time, literally just before Christmas, I officially moved to Dubai. That was the official, this is where I'm going to be now for the foreseeable. And whereas beforehand, I was always back and forth. So it was always a little bit different. But ever since I moved, it just made me realize who I will stay in contact with and who I won't, and who's maybe, just there for me whenever I'm at home because they benefit from my company, or maybe it could be vice versa. I could have benefited from their company as well, but it really made me realize okay, those friendships were just platonic friendships, they were just there. It was for a season and a reason, and not necessarily because that was going to be long-term friendships that I was going to stay in, which is quite sad, obviously, from that perspective. But it really made me realize as well the people that I value the most, and the people that I will always stay in contact with, no matter if I'm in the same country, no matter if I'm literally at the other side of the world. So I look at those things, like I said, obviously it's been a lesson, but it's been such a blessing as well, because now I can fully invest my time in people that I know will invest their time in me. And obviously there was major life changes going on with me as well, with moving countries and stuff like that. And yeah, it just sort of made me reflect on who actually cared, who asked how I was getting on, and stuff like that. But yeah, that has definitely been a big one. And the reason that I sort of said starting a business as well will teach you who your real friends are, is because are these people going to support you when they're not maybe benefiting from your product, from your service? That is massive, because and I know this is spoken about so much with people that run their own businesses, and when their business is their face, obviously I'm a coach, so my business is very much so me. I have to portray everything. I have to market everything. And yeah, the whole business is run off of my face, my social media, everything else. And yeah, who out of your friends likes your post? Who reshares your post? That is going to be a big indicator of who your real friends are, because your friends want to see you succeed no matter what it is that you're doing, and no matter if they benefit from that service, no matter if they benefit from that product or not. Your real friends will support you no matter what. It's free, to share somebody's post, to like somebody's post, even though you might not necessarily be interested in it. If that's your friend, share their post, show them your support. That's what they need. They're trying to get their brand out there. They need their friends, their family to be the supportive ones, not the ones that are just scrolling past and not thinking anything of it, So I feel like my friends are really good from that side of things. Like even my friends that are coaches will always like support my posts or like, I don't know, share my stories and stuff like that, which I love that. Like my circle right now is absolutely amazing and I couldn't be more grateful for it. But I know that is one that definitely has come up for a lot of people, and just from speaking people that are maybe running their own businesses, it's one that I have definitely heard a lot. So that would be my first lesson of 2025. And number two definitely has to be, if something isn't for you, you'll never feel at peace in it. Whether that's a friendship, a relationship, a job, a country, no matter what that is, if it's not meant for you, you will never feel peace in that environment. And that's definitely been a big one that I have sort of learned this year. And sometimes, yeah, you have to put yourself into situations to see, you know, am I going to learn from this? Is this worth it? And sometimes there's going to be the one thing that really opens your eyes of you realizing like you want more, and you want more from life, and you want more from, you know, whatever environment, whatever situation you're in. And yeah, how you're going to know that is your gut's going to fucking tell you. Like your gut is going to tell you if you feel uneasy, if you don't feel comfortable, if you constantly have that like anxiety in the bottom of your stomach when you're in a certain place, when you're with a certain somebody, when you're surrounded by certain people, that is a sign from your gut to get the fuck away from that environment. Trust your gut when it comes to that, because you will never feel at peace. Everybody has arguments. Everybody has, you know, bad days where they're not feeling their best. But if you're constantly in that environment that's constantly dragging you down, it's draining your energy, you are not meant to be there, and you will never feel at peace until you leave, no matter what the situation is. That's my lesson number two for sure. Number three is maybe more related to my career or like even myself and how I feel. And confidence doesn't actually come from how you look. Confidence comes from who you are. And you need to find out exactly who you are before you try to become confident, okay? A lot of girls, obviously, I know this because I work in the coaching industry. A lot of girls come to me and they tell me, you know, I want to lose weight. I want to look this type of way because it will make me feel more confident. And of course, our body image and the way we view ourselves is a massive part to confidence. Naturally, yes. Of course, but I can guarantee you, if you don't work on the shit that's going on in here, and if you don't work on the things that you actually have to work on within your inner self, you could be in the best nick of your entire life and you're still not going to feel confident because you don't believe in yourself. And that's the biggest thing when it comes to confidence. In order for you to actually be confident, you need to be authentic to yourself. You need to know exactly who you are, what your values are, what your standards are, what your boundaries are. That's how you show up as the most confident version of yourself, because you know no matter what comes your way, you have got your ducks in order and you know exactly what you're looking for and you won't settle for less. That's what true confidence is. And when I say settle for less, it doesn't mean like in relationships or anything like that. It means in absolutely anything. If you know something doesn't serve you, you're not going to stay there. That's what true confidence is. If you walk into a room and something doesn't feel right, you don't feel the need to stay there to people please or satisfy other people or make them happy. You are in charge of your own life. You're in charge of your own happiness, and you're in full control of what choices you make. That's true confidence. And the next lesson, which is lesson number 4, is you can't run away from life's problems. And trust me, I've tried. I'm not necessarily in 2025. I feel like 2025 has really been the year where I've learned to settle and I've learned to be present and sort of like enjoy where I'm at. But this is the year where I had to realize this. So that's why I'm using it or talking about it as a lesson, because I was somebody that was unhappy with where I was at a few years ago. I've already sort of talked about that story and shared that anyway. And my first instinct was to fuck off to Bali. And I went to Bali and I loved it. And then in my head, I thought that in order to be happy, I have to be in a different country. And I kept running away from what was actually going on within my own mind, within myself. And that was the biggest thing I had to learn this year, is like, I need to become more present. I need to become more aware of what it is that truly makes me happy, and a place isn't going to do that. You know, no matter where I am in the world, it's not going to do that. I moved to Dubai last year, and the first 6 months of Dubai, I would say I loved the first 3 months, and then after that I hated it. I really didn't see myself staying here, which is crazy, because initially I had signed for a 6-month lease to force myself to get past that point, because I knew naturally I'd struggle, and I was homesick, and I was like, oh, I need to go somewhere else, like I feel stuck, everything else, like I got myself into such a negative headspace over it. And I remember doing a podcast on that, like this time, well, not this time last year, sorry, before summer, which would have been in June. And I was talking about how I just didn't feel content. I didn't feel comfortable with where I was at. And that's because I was looking at Dubai as a place that was initially going to make me happy. But that's not it. In order for me to be happy, I need to be happy within myself and everything that's going on within that. I could live absolutely anywhere, you know, and it doesn't guarantee that I'm going to be happy or unhappy. And yes, of course, like for myself, the reason I moved away from Ireland is because I know that I wasn't aiming for my fullest potential there, and I knew that I wanted that little bit more from life. And from I was a little girl, I always said I would move away. I always wanted to move away, you know. So I knew in terms of that side of things, like, yeah, the place was an issue for me from a young age. Like, I wanted to get away, but me trying to outrun what was actually going on and just distracting myself by traveling and jumping around the world, and that was not the solution. Even though I thought it was at the time, it wasn't. What I had to do is actually be content in my routine and my habits, be content in myself, finally like feel that confidence in myself that I can do whatever the hell it is that I want to do, and really focus on becoming the person that I wanted to become. And now, guess what? She's back in Dubai. She's got a lease for a year, which is crazy. Like, talk about settling. I've bought a car. I have a cat now. That's where I'm at. Like, I actually have a pet, so I have responsibilities. I can't just dip in and out of the country whenever I please to anymore, which is probably the best thing that's ever going to happen for me. And I'm really, really excited. So I've been back 2 months now, and I've been loving my life. I love my apartment. I love where I'm at. I feel so content, feel so at peace. And yeah, everything is just so calm and peaceful, which is amazing. So that was definitely a really, really big lesson for me, is like to actually just get comfortable in the uncomfortable. You know, whenever I felt uncomfortable, I looked within, I dug deeper. Like, why was I feeling this way? What was going on? How do I fix this? How do I overcome this? How do I move forward? Rather than hopping on a flight and trying to leave the country, because that is not the answer to every single problem, as much as I don't like admitting that. And I probably will still continue jumping on flights, but like I said, I've got responsibilities now, so she has to be smarter about the move she's making. And number 5, which is the final lesson, and it sort of leads on from number 4 as well, is I feel like this year I really actually focused on healing the wounds within me. Okay, healing my traumas. I know it's such a like overused word now, so I don't like using it, but I did really, really like focus on doing the inner work, realizing what my not so nice traits are, what I seen as limits with myself, where I was unhappy, and really working through that. And I'm not going to say I'm over that. I'm not over it, you know, like there's still so much work that has to be done, but it made me realize that like growth, healing is not run by distractions. 2025 was probably the year where I felt my most lonely, and I love my alone time. Like, just to throw that out there, I absolutely love my own company. I love my alone time, but this is probably the first year that I actually felt like whenever I was doing my alone time, or whenever I was sort of in my own thoughts, I didn't necessarily like where I was at, and I knew I had to process all of that. So it's definitely been, I don't want to say lonely year, because it hasn't been a lonely year in terms of like, I have my girls, I have everybody around me that I want. Like, I love my group of people. If I rang somebody up right now for plans, I would have plans. I don't mean lonely from that sense, but I had to outgrow certain situations. I had to outgrow habits, routines. I had to say no to a lot of things, because I knew that I was using like different things as a form of distraction from what I actually wanted and what my true values were. And I was sort of like pushing those values away, because I didn't want to do the work that it was going to take for me to sort of get closer to where I wanted to be. And yeah, that required a lot of spending time on my own, reflecting within myself, writing out the things I don't like about myself that I wanted to improve on, you know, writing out what my triggers are, why I react in certain situations the way I do. And yeah, it hasn't been easy from that perspective. It definitely wasn't easy, but it's the best thing I've ever done, because like I said in sort of the last lesson, this is the most content I've been in such a long time. And I've always I would say I'm a positive person, but I'm a realist as well. So like, I'll be super excited about something, but I'll also be the one that's like observant, like this could go wrong. What if this happens? You know, I need to look into this. I need logic behind everything. So I feel like with regards to that, like, I've been super positive about the changes that have been going on, but I've also been really like realistic and real with myself as well, and telling myself things that I didn't want to hear, but I knew that I needed to fucking work through. Sorry for cursing there. That was just absolutely unnecessary. But yeah, that has definitely been lesson number 5, and it's probably been one of the biggest ones. But on that note, I really, really hope that this has brought you ladies some value as well. And, I want you to sort of think about what's the main 5 things that you learned from 2025 that you want to continue pursuing into 2026 as well. Because when it comes, like I said, with your healing journey, with recognizing those habits, those routines that I really took the time to recognize in 2025, I haven't overcome all that yet. So we are going to continue this going into 2026, and probably it's going to be another lonely year inside my own head, but we have to get past that, and I know what the bigger vision is for myself. I know what I want for my life. I know what I want for my business. There's so much happening for the Glute Girl, and I can't wait. And I have that passion, I have that excitement about me, and yeah, all of those things that I needed to learn this year have been part and parcel with the person that I am becoming and the person that I'm bringing into 2026, and who, I'm going to show up as in the next year. So it's definitely going to be a big one, and I cannot wait for it. And yeah, like I said, I hope everybody has the best Christmas. Enjoy your New Year. Celebrate with your favorite people. And if you aren't doing anything for it, if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a lovely couple of weeks anyway, no matter where you are or what you are doing. But yeah, this is going to be the final episode of 2025. So the next episode will be the first Wednesday of January. So we have a big year ahead for the podcast as well, which I'm so excited about. New guests coming on, more faces, more conversations. And yeah, I'm excited. The passion project is on for me going into 2026. But thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Have the best Christmas. Have the best New Year's. Let's step into 2026 with the best, the most clearest vision and clearest intentions, and absolutely smash it. But thank you for listening, and thank you for joining me. Actually, it's going to be our 1-year anniversary in January, which is freaking crazy that I started Everything Happens for a Reason a year ago. I cannot believe it, but so exciting as well. But thank you, everybody, for listening. Enjoy the festive season. I feel like I've said that 10 times now, so I'm just going to end this here, and I will see you all next year. Bye.